Now, you may know a lot about clinker builds. You may know some things about them. Whatever you know, it will be helpful to run through some of the main components of Jinnie's particular clinker build. There are certain clues as to why she was designed the way she was, and therefore the kind of job she did. Strengthened frames, wide beam, shallow draft and keel confirm she is a dedicated workboat. As an oyster boat, she was designed to take the hard knocks of daily life in the tidal shallows around Mersey Island. I could talk at length about the history of clinker boat building, but that would take forever. What we do know for certain is that this method of building boats is very, very old. Earliest records from Viking boats in Denmark date to around 310 AD. The Vikings must have been onto something. It is an age-old boat building method that has withstood the test of time. What links these ancient boats and Jinnie is the way they are built. They are both built with overlapped wooden planks fastened together with metal rivets. Clinker or lapstrake by far predates the first large carvel-built ships from the Middle Ages. This method lays planks edge to edge against a supporting frame. Clinker-designed boats are not just practical workboats or recreational dinghies. They are aesthetically pleasing to look at, simply works of art with each one handcrafted. Now normally, if we were building a clinker boat from scratch, we would build the boat around a series of station moulds, forming the shape of the boat around that. We are in a different situation with Jinnie. This is a complete restoration, and as with any type of retrofitting exercise, this means maintaining the structure of the boat as we go along. We will be taking templates of every part we replace. By doing this, we at least have some kind of guide to go by as we create new components. Remember, we don't have any original plans for Jinnie, so we are very much feeling our way around the boat. To understand Jinnie's anatomy, we need to peel back each layer, starting with the backbone of the boat. This area includes the keel, transom and stem. The keel spans the whole length of the boat, from transom to stem. Think of it as the spine of the whole structure. As much as every part depends on each other, it is the keel that is the starting basis and foundation of the boat. Jinnie's keel is made from one piece of oak with another layer added at some point, perhaps after her rebuild after the big storm of 1987. Let's be frank, the old keel is in a bad way. It is quite twisted and cracked with a lot of evidence of rot and marine parasite. Jinnie isn't a sailing boat, so it doesn't need a heavy and long keel to maintain good stability. Her wide beam and inboard motor meant she was a safe and stable working platform, essential for oystering. I have some ideas about how we're going to replace her keel. We'll talk about that later. Looking more closely at the structure of the stern, the deadwood sits above the keel. The deadwood is a structural piece of timber used to fill in the gaps between the keel and the hog. The deadwood is typically composed of layers of laminated wood, like Douglas fir and white oak. We'll make decisions on what type of wood to use for the deadwood and keel in the next section. Above the deadwood sits the hog. The hog runs fore and aft along the entire centre line and serves as the structural base for other central components like the keel. Its most important function is to provide a home with watertight seal for the first garboard plank to emerge from the hog. From this first plank, the other planks follow, bolted into the hog, and the deadwoods is the aft knee. The aft knee on Jinnie is pretty hefty. Remember, Jinnie is a working boat, so it had to be made stronger than your average clinker. It's not just connected to the transom and everything below, it also houses the propeller shaft, which will also create considerable vibration. We will need to make the aft knee, hog and deadwoods as strong as possible to withstand the rigours of oyster fishing. Sitting behind the aft knee is the transom. The transom on a clinker boat is the flat, vertical and often curved surface at the stern that provides structural integrity to the boat. It acts as the rearmost part of the hull and serves as a critical structural member that the planks attach to, providing a mounting point for the rudder and outboard motor. The angles of the outer edges of the new transom will have to be a faultless and well-fared replica of the old transom. We will be recreating the same angled edges using one of my bevels. It's a boat builder's best mate, trust me. I'll explain what beveling is and how to do it when we come to replacing Jinnie's transom. If you're not great at geometry or maths, don't worry, using the bevel makes the whole process a lot easier and doesn't mean calculating angles and so forth. Last but not least is the prop shaft. This runs through the Deadwood, hog and aft knee. We have some great ideas about how we will eventually power Jinnie. The hope is to run her on a quiet, clean, renewable energy system instead of the noisy engine that would have been there before. Oyster fishing will be a much quieter, more sedate experience. We can't change the weather though. Turning our attention to the bow end, the keel and hog connect to the stem and the all-important apron. The stem of a clinker boat is the central curved piece of wood at the very front of the hull that forms the apex of the bow. It provides the structural strength and the edge that the individual planks of the hull are attached to. This edge the planks are joined to behind the stem is called the apron. The apron is a line of two recessed edges of timber behind both sides of the stem, running down to the foremost end of the keel. It takes the fastenings of the forehood planks of the bow and was also sometimes known as a stomach piece. The planks are attached to a carved groove called a rebate. If we look at the stem from above, you can see how the planks butt up against the beading line and allow the planks to overlap neatly into the rebate and ghost line. If we now look at the inside of Jinnie, you may notice something unusual straight away. Clinker boats are typically built with light wooden ribs. These are internal frames providing structural support to the overlapping planks of the hull. These ribs are often steam-bent pieces of wood such as oak fastened to the inside of the hull, creating a strong, rigid structure. Instead, Jinnie has a series of larger frames. Again, this building method points to a stronger, more robust working boat. Traditionally, the use of larger frames goes back to early Viking ship design. We are in East Anglia after all, not a million miles away from Denmark. Her floors are pretty substantial, spanning Jinnie's huge beam, making her a very stable workboat. Some of the frames and floors might be given a new lease of life. The replaced ones will be copied and templated as always before being removed. Perhaps the builder decided a lighter rib structure would have been more prone to damage given the physical demands of such a boat. We've got to remember this isn't an occasionally sailed leisure craft. Jinnie had a specifically physical purpose and function. Jinnie is missing her aft thwart and knee. We know she had an aft thwart because we can see Richard here sitting on it. I can't imagine he would have had much opportunity to sit down when he was actually doing the job of collecting oysters. Her forethwart definitely needs replacing. If you don't know what a thwart is, it's basically a fixed bench for sitting on. It also gives the boat better structural integrity. Amidships, Jinnie had no thwart. This was an important working area for her crew and also for her inboard diesel engine. Traditionally, and in Jinnie's case, many parts, including the knees, frames, floor, keel, stem and so forth, would have been made out of one piece of wood. Instead, we'll be laminating pre-shaped wood together to make most of Jinnie's structural parts. I'm sure most experienced boat builders out there would agree with me. The process of gluing laminates of wood together is in fact stronger than the original, which takes us to our first job in hand. Removing the old keel, building a new one and with any luck getting it back into place.